Thank you for joining us on this, the first episode of The Story of a Woman. 12 phenomenal Caribbean women taking us on their journey, sharing their stories while encouraging us, motivating us, and giving us that extra drive and teaching us that life is not a fairy tale and that the struggle is indeed real. The lesson learned here, support is absolutely essential in this, the story of our lives. Hashtag I am, I will. Thank you to our partners for coming on board, for making this possible, making this happen, jumping on when so many others would not, and understanding the importance of local content, regional content, and Caribbean content. WEOC, the West Indies Oil Company, Simply Coffee in Antigua and Barbuda, the Halo Foundation, Simply Me, Sharon, thank you so much for providing the wardrobe for the Story of a Woman series. Geo's Antigua, Studio 72 in Antigua, and a special thank you to the Paradise Cottages on Dickinson Bay here in Antigua. On December 12, 2018, 4 Antiguan women set off on the toughest journey of their lives. A 3,000-mile nautical race from La Gomera in the Canary Islands to Nelson's Dockyard in Antigua. Samara, Crystal, Elvira, and Cavinia. The intent? A row for hope. A row for themselves and to make Antigua, Barbuda proud. They followed in the footsteps of their predecessors, Team O'Dadley and Team Antigua Atlantic Rowers. This is their story. So it's been an exciting almost a year, 7 or 8 months since you've been back.
Yes.
What has that been like? Have you found yourself? Are you still rowing on the Atlantic? Tell me, do you feel like you need to go back? Take me back?
No, but it has been a great feeling. We continue to get different inspirational stories from everybody, older, younger, male, female, that we were able to give a little hope and motivation to do new things, and that's one of the best feelings since we got back that we've been encountering. We've also gone back to our normal everyday routines, back to work. I'm trying to get back fit. Crystal is going back to the swimming. Sam is already sailing, and Elvira is helping us to fly safely.
So we're back to basic, really.
To basics, yeah.
How has that been, though? It's been shaky, or?
It hasn't really been that difficult. It actually feels awesome to be around family. I feel grounded again with the support. It is awesome being greeted by different people, and like she said, given different inspirational stories or being identified. As an Antiguan island girl, I love the fact that we were able to highlight the island so much, putting Antigua on the map. Besides cricket and besides the beaches, we now have the Antigua Island girls,
Yes.
and I love it.
All right. What has life been for you so far?
Well, life has been going. I mean, 2 weeks after I came back, I went straight back to work, and it's been just a juggle of everything that we have to do. I mean, it's life. As a mother, you just pick up, carry on.
So you're back on the high seas, though. I mean, somewhat high between,
High-ish.
So high-ish. So you jumped right back.
Right back.
No pun intended. No sea creatures in between there, right?
No, thank you.
So how has life been for you, though, settling in?
It's been a bit more interesting for me. I mean, when I got to Antigua, I had been away, and before I took up the road, I had only been back 2 months. So I was trying to figure myself out, and then the row happened, and that took up a pretty big chunk of life. And so that was life in Antigua for me. And now post-row, I'm back to now figuring out now where I move on to.
So I have one question. If you had to do it again, would you?
Yes.
Yes.
Would you make any changes?
Yes.
We could make a lot of adjustments. We've learned a lot.
We learned a lot on the.
You would make changes?
Yes.
If we could change the weather, that'd be good too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you would probably change 47 to like 37?
Yes.
Yeah?
For sure.
Anything else?
I mean, like they said, we learned a lot on our journey, and there's always things that you can improve on. And sitting here now, looking back, you saw a lot of things where you went wrong. You could have done different. You could have prepared a little bit more in this area. So I think with the necessary adjustments, we would definitely do it again.
Not having either new boat or one, because we did try to upgrade the boat, but we missed the autopilot. We didn't know there was an issue, but it's the fourth crossing, so that would have been something we would definitely pay more attention to, the vessel in its
So
entirety.
technically,
Yeah.
you wouldn't change anything else because
Taste your food.
The food. Yeah, we
Taste your
didn't get
food.
to try the
Stock
food.
up on more snacks. We ran out of snacks.
but you can say that now. But I guess the entire experience led you to where you are
yes.
today,
Because
right?
The food we never got to sample before we actually got it, because we got a sponsor.
Yeah.
And so we just chose a lot of random different flavors, some nicer than others. So that's something we would definitely do, is do a lot more sampling, so what you would enjoy a little better on
But it was a great experience. Yeah.
Yes,
really
I'm
was.
sure that it was. So we talk about the fact that, okay, this is crazy. And the realization hit each and every one of you at different times. But who came up with this between the four of you? And there's a fifth person as well. So she would have been with you guys from get-go. Well, whose idea was this?
It wasn't anybody's idea. Like, we never even thought about it until the race actually started to end in Antigua, when we had our two previous teams successfully complete the road. Then a call was put out asking for the next team to represent Antigua to be a female team.
Right.
I didn't even hear about it. Scott Potter is a friend of mine. He said to me, looking for females, I needed to be on the team. And I was like, okay.
So it came to you first.
As far as I know, yes.
It came to you first.
As far as I know, yes. They heard about it and they actually basically volunteered. So I think they're a little crazier than I am.
Okay, so it wasn't a situation where you, Kavinia, gave
No.
everybody a call. So it was supposed to happen.
Yes, but I kind of pulled
I
that
didn't
vibe.
know. There you go. There you go.
So here we are, everybody coming together, training, certification. There was no thought of, listen, X could happen, Y could happen. It was just a matter of getting it done and getting it out there. So I guess the enthusiasm was at the top.
I mean, now that you say that, I didn't even think of, we did not think of the what ifs. Like Kavinia alluded to earlier, most teams have 2
2 years.
to 4 years of training. We did it in about 8-9 months because we had to double up everything. Because initially we thought it would have been for 2019
this
into
year.
2020, but somehow I don't even remember how we got talked into doing it last year. So we did not have a lot of time to plan, so we had to just double up on everything, training, getting our certifications early on the courses that we would have needed to as a prerequisite for the race, and we just did not have time to stop and think about the what ifs. I remember when we were on the start line, the 12th of December, I remember the cameramen and all the interviewers passing around, and when they came to us, they say, how come you guys aren't nervous? Everybody's
Why are you so
like
relaxed?
biting nails and trying to do. I'm like, I mean, we prepared as much as we could. We did not have time to stop and be nervous because short space of time, we just, it was one thing
wanted
after
to get
the
home.
next. And we were going home.
Yes.
I mean, paradise. What
We had
better
no
way,
choice.
you know?
I think what sort of like helped us as well, we did a lot of school tours and interviews, and I think, keep reaffirming the what ifs. Every time someone asked the question, you had to answer, keep rowing, this would happen, keep rowing, the boat will flip over, keep rowing. So I think repetition sort of, gave us a little bit of comfort, I guess. But thinking about it now,
When you
I do
look
think
back.
we're crazy. I think my biggest moment is right now. Like right now. Every day time I think about it. You can't swim. What's wrong with you?
Well, let's get to this. Let us get to this right now. So let's get to this rumor or fact. Fact or rumor, which one of you cannot swim and you were out in the middle of the Atlantic for 47 days? I need to know. Who was it?
Okay, technically, okay, so yes, I'm not a strong swimmer. I don't like being in the ocean and things touching me. It's just not a pleasant feeling, and you can't breathe, and you know, you're horizontal. It's just nothing.
Can you float?
No.
Oh my gosh.
She's a rock. I can't, but which is good because my swim coach, he's been trying to get me to, because I've been wanting to do a triathlon, and I've started several times. I'm like, "Ugh, the water's too cold, the fish touching me." But after accepting this challenge, you know, although it's not a requirement except to get to 25 feet in the certification, but because just in case, like you said, the what ifs, I needed to know that at least I could survive or try to survive. So I did seriously take swimming lessons. I even bought the warm, what do you call
Thermal.
it?
The wetsuit.
Wetsuit because, you know, to handle the
warm,
cold
yeah.
easier. And I did get up 4:30 in the mornings to go train and learn to swim. I still don't consider myself a strong swimmer, but I am comfortable that I can survive.
So the basics,
Yes.
you had that before you actually jumped out into the Atlantic.
Yes. That was one of my concerns, which I addressed, and I didn't know how I would tolerate being on the sea. And we did get seasick.
So that's a strong message that we're sending to the younger women. You, that particular situation, and you try your best to overcome it to basically do
Find a
this.
solution.
Yes.
I mean, and that's amazing in itself. The three of you, knowing this, what were your thoughts? Were you like, Kavinia is definitely crazy?
We was too busy at the time.
Too busy.
Yeah, like she said, we were too busy. But I mean, you must remember that swimming is not a requirement for the race to enter the race. So you don't have to know how to swim.
Yeah, but the thing is, you're not actually in the water.
You're tethered to the boat at all times.
Exactly.
So you're clipped onto the boat through a safety line and a harness. And
We had a life raft.
when I started sailing, I could not swim. And I learned everything like in a month, just with my boss taking me every Tuesday to Pigeon Point to learn to swim. So we didn't even think about Kevin can't swim.
Yeah.
Summer probably doesn't worry about stuff. Like I was
Yeah,
sick
I
for
don't-
days. She didn't worry, you know.
like, you'll get over. My thing is, I do tough love. You'll get over it. If you fall in and you're drowning, somebody will jump in and save you. Mostly Crystal, but yeah.
Exactly. We had an Olympic swimmer with us.
Yeah.
So, you know,
So you felt good
we felt safe.
because you knew Crystal would be like, "Yeah, come in."
Exactly.
Everybody has a strength and everybody has a weakness on the team. So what we did, we played off of each other's strength. So we really trusted each other out there. So there's nothing that you could have told us back then that we would have just brushed off anything, because we trusted each other that much. We trained together. We were pretty much together every day
for
for
months.
over half of a day. So we had the absolute trust in each other. We trusted our vessel. We trusted the training that we would have gotten, all the expert advice that we got. So we knew that we could do it.
And in the training, we had solutions. Every time a
Yes.
problem, we never not resolved an issue. So we always knew that that's one of the strengths that we actually appreciated on our first trip to St. Kitts and around the island, because wheel came off of the
Yeah,
the
everything
sea.
that could have happened.
the wheel
Murphy's
came
Law.
off, seasickness,
Seasickness.
and there's people that stepped up when they needed to without being asked. And I think that was one of the things we took with us, knowing that everybody will step up if they need to, if somebody's down, and try to just go home.
And I think this is ideally what you just said there is really the story of a woman. And this is what we need to do. Because you said it. You stepped up, you supported, and you had that trust there. So you know that if you fell short, Crystal would have been there, Samara, you would have been there, Elvira, you would have been there, and of course, Kavini, you would have been there to make sure that everybody is, singing Kumbaya at the end of the day. And this is the challenge that we face, not just in what you guys have accomplished and what you've done, but as women, we're trying to promote that and push that. It's not about us basically trying to make as much as the men. It's not about us saying, all right, fine, we're equal, we're just as good, but it's about us supporting us.
Support system.
And that inner strength.
Yeah, and this ideally is the best story that I've heard so far, because you have been able to fall on each other, and that support factor has been there. You're watching The Story of a Woman, Team Antigua Island Girls.
I am woman. Hear me roar, in numbers too big to ignore. Yes, I've paid the price. If I have to, I can do anything. I am woman.
Here at West Indies Oil, we recognize the contribution that women make to our country and our society as a whole. And therefore, we'll continue to provide opportunities for women to play key roles in the growth and success of this company.
Simply Me is proud to provide Nicola's wardrobe in The Story of a Woman. Studio 72 is proud to be a partner in The Story of a Woman. WEOC is proud to be a partner in The Story of a Woman. Let's go back to this amazing story. These four powerful women. Team Antigua Island Girls. The Story of a Woman continues. So a lot of people have been asking questions. Okay, so it's four women out there. How did they do that? How did they use the bathroom? What happened what bathroom? I mean, menstrual cycles, 47 days. Somebody must have had, moments. How did that work out? Did you have to use the bathroom next to each other? What was going on? Did you have hormonal issues? Those are the questions that have been asked. How did I do that? So I need to ask, if I can, basically, because we're not ashamed or afraid, basically.
Definitely no privacy on board. All buckets, which we already had an experience because I somehow managed to lose the bucket the first time we went to St. Kitts on our first trip.
Within the first
2 hours.
Okay, 2 hours in. Yeah,
We were just all silent.
Doesn't matter, but we had to fabricate something as another little small, vessel to use for that Tupperware. We were creative with that. So we had that experience, but definitely we had to get comfortable with each other.
Really good.
Very quickly, there's no privacy, no bathroom. In the beginning, Sam used to try and use yoga mats as a little cubicle. That never worked. And then she tried to go at evenings. But definitely no privacy, no showers.
The problem was, the bucket is situated because we row facing backwards.
To the back, yes.
And the only space is
Right
in the back
next
for the
row
bucket.
position.
So while you're going, just like you facing me, and we're having conversations. And,
And I'm on the bucket. So I'm literally on the bucket right there.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that was not fun, but we did have disposable bags, which made it easier. You just
To clean, yep.
wrap and go. We had our wet wipes to stay.
So you use wet wipes for 47 days, practically.
Yes. And they're
We did make
biodegradable
water
too.
from
so-
time to time, and we did have water and soap. So from time to time, we made fresh water every day. So from time to time as well, we did have that option available of taking quick little mini baths.
You had the option, but let me tell you, we worked in shifts of 2 hours on, 2 hours off. So 2 people would go most of the times for 2 hours, and 2 people rest. In your 2 hour, once you get off, you have to feed yourself, which is a chore and a task in itself. You have to clean yourself up. You have to make any repairs or do any cleaning on the vessel. So I got like 45 minutes, if so much, of sleep. And Kevin and I shared the back room, which houses all the navigational equipment. So it was not an easy task to sleep in there. You have all the bright lights. You had the auto helm doing zzz in your ear every day. I mean, and everything that you did out there, our kitchen, bathroom, living room area was right in front of our cabin. So every sound that happened out there, we heard it in there. So we didn't really get much rest. So it was very hard.
I'm thinking 47 days of this, Crystal. And you have to jump off, what, every day or every other day?
It works out to roughly once a week.
Once a week, okay,
Yeah.
fine. But you were in your element when that happened, right?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of was looking forward to it just because
You could get away from
Well, no. I'm not going that far. More, it's just who can say they get to swim in the middle of the Atlantic?
Yeah.
Not many people can say that, and so that was pretty good. I mean, it's a tiring job cleaning the boat, but I got better at it each time. And I was rewarded with a chocolate of some description after. So
Nice.
And I got to take like a shower after. Like I say shower, got to like down myself in some fresh water afterwards. So those are the perks.
So let's talk about the fear factor. Any major issues, sharks, unidentified swimming objects?
Flying often.
Sam and Elvira always have experiences of seeing I like that unidentified floating flying objects. Y'all want to speak?
Listen, just because they did not see it,
Or they're in
which
denial.
Crystal saw
They're in
it,
It
denial.
wasn't a big deal.
doesn't mean it didn't exist, right? Elvira, take it away.
What? Yeah, we tend to have like these interesting. Was it the 3 a.m. shift or the 1 a.m. shift? The 3 a.m. shift. Like there's always something floating in the water, some sort of spotlight from time to time. Different things we'd point out, and they,
including the sea bats.
Sea bats.
That Sam said they were bats from the sea. Elvira thinks they live in the whale.
Don't listen
the
to
whale
Kevin. Yeah.
mouth.
They were birds. I mean, they told us in the middle of the Atlantic we would see no birds of any sort. We saw birds. We
Every
had 3 little birds, not the ones from Bob Marley. But we had 3 little birds every day religiously come and visit us. Every day. We had a butterfly in the middle of the Atlantic. We had moths. So it was just, I mean, nobody could convince me that there's not a higher power, whether it's God, whatever you call it. There was a higher power out there on the sea. And Elvira thought they lived in the whale mouth. Let's get that straight. I call them sea bats because they'd come up at night sometimes and just zoom across your head and you're like, what's going on here, So, but
We weren't really afraid of anything. There were a couple of times we saw the silhouette, like some huge silhouettes, and we wanted to see if it was a whale
Or shark.
or shark, just coming by to say hi. But every time Sam saw them, she started screaming and banging the oars.
I was saving these girls' life and they don't even realize it.
But to be honest, I don't think we had.
Then we had the dolphins every couple of days. So
dolphins
then
came to
that's
visit
why I
us.
wasn't necessarily worried because one of the phone calls that I had back home and I spoke to my nephew and I was like, okay, have you seen anything? It's like when we see dolphins, then he said, oh, you should be safe because where the dolphins and packs, sharks don't go. So I think we protected the entire way across.
entire
We
way.
saw dolphins almost every day.
So here's my question now. At any point in time, we've passed 30 days, you're rowing home. Did you feel frustrated, sad, tears?
Yes.
Did you cry on each other? Did you have a silent cry by yourself? What was that like? Crystal, did that?
Just there was a day when we had about 600 miles to go. Not a day, it was more than a day. So we were roughly covering about 100 miles every day and a half, and it was, we got 600 miles out from Antigua, and all of a sudden, just that the wind died. And we had been having wind problems because there was just no wind most of the time, and then the currents were just not taking us where we wanted them to take us. And it took us, during the 600s, 3 days to get through 100 miles.
Oh my.
When our previous pace was twice that. And it was just, frustrating, and we're in the sun. You're struggling to row, and you're not going anywhere. It was very deflating, really deflating. We had to keep looking at the chart and GPS and hoping to see that if we were getting anywhere. Sam would sometimes enlarge the map or take the zoom out so she could see Antigua. And then of course you couldn't see us. But she's like, oh, home's right there. We're going nowhere. But but that's what, we had to kind of just do as much as we can just to keep our motivation up. And I mean, at the end of the day, you can't do anything but just go. Yeah.
So the physical breakdown of it, I mean, the wear and tear on your body because you're rowing, you can't stop rowing. So for the last 47 days you guys are out in the Atlantic. At some point in time, did you stop at any time? Was there ever a time that no one was rowing?
Only when Crystal had to go over.
Right, and that was it, and that was part of the plan.
And also when we had to fix the
auto helm and stuff like that to stop rowing.
So how did that? What happened there? What was that about?
I think for me and Kev, that was our lowest. The lowest point.
That was the boat. I think that was my low. Well, when I was like, Sam, I don't know how we're going to do this if we don't get this fixed. Because hand steering is mentally draining, taxing. It is one of the worst experiences when you're tired. The only time I've fallen asleep, dozed off during my 2-hour shift was handstand. That's how, during the daytime, was because it was so mentally taxing. You had to be so focused on your direction because the waves are pushing you off course.
Yes.
The wind is pushing you a different way, and then once we turn around, it's another mission. You have to wake people up off of their shift, and you hate doing that. That's one in the world. You have to roll. You're like, we need power, because you have to get the strength to, rewrite.
Yeah, because the boat ends up turning the back towards the Canaries.
Yeah.
So it's really difficult to get the boat back on track.
Because you have everything going in the wrong direction. So we always have to interrupt. I hate doing that sleep shifts because it takes a while to fall asleep, and then if you have to do that, we're like, guys, we need extra hands out here. And then Sam had to be inside trying to set the autopilot. So all hands had to be on deck when the autopilot completely failed. Sam was our electrician. We were on the phone with our home team, with the race organizers who didn't help. They're like, oh, you guys, you gotta hand stay home. But that was a time I'm like, because you're rowing one person now, you can't row 2 people because it's so mentally draining. You have to allow the person to get the full 2 hour. And then that means only one person is rowing. And it was the point I'm like,
You're watching the story of a woman, Team Antigua Island Girls. Simply Coffee is proud to be a partner in the story of a woman. The Halo Foundation is proud to be a partner in the story of a woman. Gio's Restaurant Antigua is proud to be a partner in the story of a woman. Let's go back to this amazing story. These 4 powerful women, Team Antigua Island Girls. The story of a woman continues. So I want to paint the picture for our viewers. 4 women. How big is the boat?
28
20. I thought it was 24.
25 and 20.
Right, okay.
Somewhere.
You're all up under each other. You've left the Canary Islands and you're heading to Antigua and Barbuda, which is how many thousands? 3,000 nautical miles. You can't swim very well. You have basic training. You are A class, top class. You can handle your business. You're the life of the party. This came together in, 7 or 8 months?
Yeah.
And nobody thought about it. You guys just jumped on board. You're a female team, so people are already saying, you're a black female team. You're a Caribbean female team. Like, they're not gonna make it. By day 5, we're gonna be, they're gonna be coming home. We'll have to pick them up. So the odds are against you. Whether we like it or not, it's a fact.
Yes.
Because the naysayers,
Yes.
you're rowing for the cottage of hope. That in itself was another scenario, because as much as we're doing good,
Yes.
you know, we tend to focus on the negative before we could find the good in everything. But you guys are all smiles. You know, you are just doing this because, hey, we're doing this, we're here.
That
We're
actually
crazy,
helped.
but
That
we're
actually
good.
helped. The thought of all of that actually helped to fuel us and drive
Yes.
us even more to
Yes.
prove the naysayers wrong. It really did help. And you had mentioned before about low points. One of the things I did before we left, behind the girls' back, I asked like family and friends to write them notes for low points. When they feel like a low day, what to happen. So I had like Crystal's sister did like one for every week, which eventually ran out because we were there too long. And then Kavinia's sister, her daughter, different family friends that we had support from the internet as well. That just came in, Sam's family and my son, everybody just like sent notes. So like I hand them out. Like I started to do like one at a time, and then eventually I just gave them the entire envelope. And I think it really did help. We had prayers from different people we never even met, and some of the letters were very amusing and stuff like that. It really did help. But definitely the negativity or the disbelief from the naysayers helped to drive us. That for me is one of my lowest point was the seasickness, and I was thinking about all of that, and that helped to like, you know what, Elvira, you need to get over this sickness, especially when our home team was a bit worried, like, you know, y'all might have to abandon this mission. And I'm like, what is he talking about? By the hook or the crook, I'm going to row and this is going to happen. Yes. I'm not giving up. Yes. I gave childbirth, I got this, you know?
And like you said, also doing it for the girls at the Cottage of Hope was of paramount importance to us. Not only to just give them hope, like you said, seeing Black Caribbean females
People
doing something great and doing it not for ourselves but for them. I think that too kept us. We had a sticker saying, "Do it for the girls, go for the girls." So one, and it's facing us. So every time, you know, you're like, okay, we need to do this. We need to get home.
So one row at a time.
Yes.
Yeah, for one girl.
Yes.
So for those, the benefit of those women looking on, girls, young women, senior, what would you say, Annie? Because we really want to push. At the end of the day, this is all about, you know, that's it. And that drop in the bucket, that'll eventually fill the bucket. But it's all about saying, listen, you got this, you can do this, we did this. And I think the story with the five of you is the fact that you did it together, the support. We talk about, I've got you, but a lot of us, we don't. I will say I've got Kavinia, but at the end of the day, I'm leaving here and I'm like, oh gosh, she's so enough. We know this story. We know it. How do we change that? And I think your story today is just an amazing one. There's so many other women who are looking on and saying, listen, I don't know if I could have done that. But you are saying, listen, if you put your mind to it and you've got that support factor, you can.
Yes.
We're very resilient. I think we're the most resilient of the sexes. I mean, that's why we can give childbirth.
Yeah, that's not
we I mean, that's why we were tasked with it.
That's right.
Even though, I mean, it may be difficult, but the Creator knew we could manage. We were the one given that big task. I think like one of the greatest tasks of all. We were designed for that.
Yeah. For me, the most important thing that I will reiterate is teamwork. Teamwork definitely made our dream work. I mean, when I first thought about doing this challenge, I thought about doing it solo because I've done many sales by myself and I knew I could handle it, but in my mind mentally, but being out there with a support system, a group of women who not only looked like me, but thought like me, had the same goal in mind, it made the job so much easier. If I was out there by myself, trust me, I would still be out there. Because there were days when, even though we never thought about giving up, there were days when you just did not feel that drive and you needed a Kevinia to come and say, okay, we're going to row today and we're going to do this and we're going to do it differently. We needed Elvira, who was always there. She was my singing partner. She was the person who we saw all the crazy things together. There were moments when Crystal and I were there and we would talk about things, you know, that I wouldn't talk about with Elvira or Kevin. So we needed each other out there. So teamwork. yes, you can do a lot of things by yourself, but when you have that support system, our families, our friends, the whole of Antigua, all the children, I mean, Mikkel, Marcel, Natasha, Donna, everybody, my mother, everybody just played a very integral role in our journey. And I think that's one of the biggest things for me, that I had a support system. I had the whole of Wadadli backing me up when I thought I couldn't walk anymore, when my hands were literally falling apart and I had to be taping them up.
And your feet.
And my feet.
Our feet.
You know, it was just, you know, I don't want to get emotional, but the support system was what kept us going, the teamwork.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, we did have our fears, but they weren't important. And one of the things, like I said, I used my fear of swimming as fuel. So that's one of the things I would tell somebody. Yes, understand that fears are real. We did have fears, so it's not that we didn't have fears. We just used it as fuel. Everybody had a different fear. Sam, although she loves the sea, she's afraid of the sea creatures, you know. But using your fear as fuel and preparation is key. I understand a lot of people didn't see our behind the scene, our double training, our hours in the gym, our hours on the eat. Like, the preparation is key. So again, a lot of people see the glory, but my advice would be use your fear as fuel, and prepare, because that's the only way we were able to complete this journey successfully, because we did the training, we did the certifications. We did not take that for granted. So prepare and use your fuel. Use your fear for fuel.
I think, like I also said quite a lot, really. I think I go back to the support, because I mean, our families were really behind us. That was really important, and I don't think I've seen, I know there are naysayers out there, but to be honest, I didn't hear them, because I felt very supported by the country. I felt like there was nothing that we couldn't do, really. I felt that really, really strongly, and I still feel that even more having come back. I think it's just an amazing feeling, an amazing thing that we've done, in the sense that we've managed to get Antiguans and Barbudans together after we've had a tough few years. It was really great to be able to have everyone rally behind us, and I'm happy that we're able to be a beacon of light for the country and for women as well.
And I like that, a beacon of light for the country and also for women.
And race.
Definitely so. And I think you are probably our best kept secret, because as much as we know what happened and your feat and the fact that you've done this Talisker Atlantic Whiskey Challenge, we need to really we need to tell this story a little bit more. And you guys are so accomplished. I looked at you coming off, you know, when you got to Nelson's Dockyard, you could barely walk. I saw it, you know, you lost 40-something pounds. Everybody was like, okay, we need to do that, because Samara's got it down packed. You know, just the expression on Kavinia's face, yours when you held your son, I think people watching on, they were just in tears. Even if they were haters, they had to love you. And I think on behalf not just of Antigua and Barbuda, but as women, we have to say thank you and commend you because I couldn't do that. I mean, I say that, but you have given us encouragement and drive, and it's an amazing feeling, and we're very proud to have you as Caribbean women. And I just want to say thank you.
Thank you.